Okay, let's dive into this. In today's explainer, we're looking at a genuinely fascinating and honestly kind of poetic reality of human history. Throughout the centuries, we've celebrated these massive engineering achievements, proudly declaring them as invulnerable, unbreakable, or just entirely immune to failure. But time and time again, these colossal monuments to human genius get effortlessly dismantled by the natural world. It's this gripping story of our grandest ambitions going head-to-head with the raw environment. And as we'll see, simple physics almost always wins.
Just think about the phrase unsinkable tech for a second. It's a ridiculously bold claim, isn't it? I mean, whenever we slap a label like unsinkable, unbreakable, or foolproof on our greatest structural achievements, we're essentially daring the universe. It really reveals this profound human overconfidence. We mistakenly believe that our freshly forged steel, our tightly secured rivets, and all our fancy mathematical equations can somehow permanently outsmart the ancient, unforgiving elements of the Earth. We basically wrap ourselves in an illusion of absolute safety.
And that right there is the core tension we're exploring today. On one side of the ledger, you've got supreme human confidence, our absolute certainty that we've engineered our way entirely out of danger. But then, on the exact opposite side, you have the raw, effortless dismantling power of natural forces. When these two collide during structural disasters, it creates a very clear and often very tragic pattern. It's a historical breakdown where unyielding natural physics just completely shatters our technological pride, exposing exactly how fragile our creations actually are.
Section 1. The Titanic Myth Debunked. Let's move on and see how this builds with perhaps the most famous historical example of all.
Now, what's really interesting here is that the truth behind the engineering hubris of the Titanic is entirely different from the pop culture narrative. We've all been told it was fiercely marketed as the unsinkable ship right out of the gate, right? While actually, the historical data points to a completely different reality. The RMS Titanic was never officially advertised as unsinkable before it launched. No way. That legendary tragic myth of the unsinkable ship really only grew retrospectively. It was a narrative that got heavily romanticized and amplified by the public and media only after the tragic sinking actually happened in April of 1912. And to prove that this disaster was a matter of predictable physics and human error, rather than some unpredictable twist of fate, we can actually look back a bit earlier to 1898. A man named Morgan Robertson wrote a famous book predicting a massive ocean liner named the Titan sinking in the North Atlantic. People often call this some kind of magical prophecy, but it wasn't magic at all. Robertson was simply an experienced sailor. He was carefully observing alarming shipping trends, taking note of glaring industry safety failures, and specifically calling out the mathematical danger of ships carrying far too few lifeboats. It was just pure, rational observation of bad engineering habits that were simply destined to fail against the harsh realities of the ocean.
Section 2. Nature's Deceptive Tsunami Trap. Let's shift our focus from historical ships to modern natural phenomena.
Because you see, it's not just historical ships that expose our overconfidence, it's our basic human psychology when we're facing modern natural disasters. Let's walk through an incredibly suspenseful natural phenomenon known as the drawback effect. Step 1. Right before a tsunami hits, the underlying physics of the approaching wave actually pulls the coastal ocean water rapidly back out to sea. Step 2. This action drastically exposes the bare seafloor. And here is where human psychology tragically meets natural physics. Step 3. Curious onlookers, completely misinterpreting this massive environmental warning sign, are actually lured out onto the exposed sand to just look around. They feel this false sense of safety and wonder, entirely unaware of Step 4, the catastrophic moment when that water returns.
500 miles per hour. That is the massive statistic you need to internalize right here. While those curious onlookers are standing on that seemingly peaceful, exposed seafloor, that massive tsunami wave is racing toward the shore at the literal speed of a commercial jetliner. Think about that for a second. It underscores the terrifying, absolutely unforgiving physics of the natural world. Human curiosity and our baseline assumption of safety are instantaneously overwhelmed by millions of tons of water moving at 500 miles per hour. It's just a devastating reminder of the true scale of the forces we live alongside.
Section 3. Surviving in Natural Laws. So the crucial point we need to pull from all of this is, whether we're talking about massive ocean liners navigating ice fields or people standing out on a receding beach, we have to look at the common denominator here. Technological triumph is merely temporary survival against natural laws. This completely reframes how we should view our massive technological achievements going forward. We so often present our sprawling bridges, our towering skyscrapers, and our advanced digital networks as permanent, invincible symbols of human achievement. But they aren't. They're simply temporary truces with unforgiving physical realities. A great engineering feat doesn't defeat physics, it just successfully navigates it, at least for a little while.
And that leaves us with a critical, really profound question to consider. What unsinkable technology are you relying on today? I want you to genuinely think about the engineering you blindly trust in your everyday life. The digital cloud storing your entire life's data, the power grids keeping your home heated in the winter, the automated vehicles driving your streets. Are we falling into the exact same trap of overconfidence as the shipbuilders and curious onlookers of the past? Something to think about.